AfterBuzz begins.
What is up, AfterBuzzers? Welcome back to another Dead to Me after show. Today we are going to be discussing Season 2, Episodes 3 and 4, You Can't Live Like This, and Between You and Me. Again, we got some really ominous titles going here for some pretty ominous episodes. As always, I am your host, Taylor Gates. I'm joined by a full panel of lovely co-hosts today. We, of course, have the lovely, such good insights. We have Simone Thomas.
Hi, guys.
Oh, I love the energy you're bringing. You just always bring such good energy, Simone.
I'm happy to be with you guys. It's been a year coming, so it's great to be back.
Absolutely. We also have looking lovely in yellow, host, producer, actress, author. She does it all. It's Mia, everyone.
Hi, everyone. I wore yellow because this show makes me happy.
And it looks beautiful on you too.
Yeah,
oh, thank
Yellow's
you.
a nice color.
You're absolutely killing it.
Yellow, you gotta look at it and love it. You can't frown. So this is good. And happy to be here, of course.
Yes. And last but not least, we have a new addition, a very welcome addition to our panel.
Hey.
The new insights. We have some male blood on this panel. Finally, we have Cortez.
How you guys doing? You have a male, but there's a little touch with you guys inside too, so it won't be completely male. If you know what I mean.
Great. We're just gonna get all of the perspectives. Yeah. I am so excited. These were some really intense but also hilarious episodes. What were your guys' overall thoughts on these two?
I genuinely was just like, so it was so funny in the very beginning when she was typing in names to the petition. And I was like, this episode should literally be called like, Don't Stop Believing That. Is Steve dead? Like, I was like, this is so funny. Like, they should just retitle it completely. But I genuinely was like, is this a horror movie now? What is going on? But it's just funny because like Jen and Judy prove time and time again that like, what is this what friendship is? This is what it should be. Like, you kill each other's husbands and you're good. Like, sis, you're good. I'm like, okay, I'm down. If you're gonna be a ride or die, like this is how you do it. So they just nail it, and especially with that bar scene too, in the second episode that we see or that we're gonna talk about. So yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah.
Completely. What about you, Simone?
Literally the definition of ride or die. They take it to the max. I was just I was actually stressed this episode. Like, it was hard to watch. There were moments where I literally wanted to pause it and I was like, no, you have to watch. You got to get through this. But it was just too much for my anxiety. But I think, like, especially in episode 3, Judy and Jen having that carefree moment at the bar and then like solidifying their relationship, being each other's person, helped lighten the mood a little bit.
Absolutely. What about you, Cortez?
I was just, the whole episode was like about the freezer and like how to get rid of this dead body, like how she was like really researching this. Is kind of funny. So we've all seen many movies of how people get rid of bodies, things like that. And the fact that she was like literally looking up like how to hide a dead body. And the little girl, which I can't think of her name right now, she's hilarious.
Sandy. Yes.
Yes. So it was a good 2 episodes, and I'm ready to talk about it.
Me too. Let's just dive right in. We do start with like, I forget which one of you mentioned it, but it does feel a little bit horror movie-esque. Like, we have a lot of suspense happening here with the weird noises, which obviously they're actually happening, but also Jen's a little bit paranoid, which I totally understand. We have her hearing the sounds of like the ocean. We hear the freezer kind of making weird sounds, and we see Jen go out, and it's just Judy just chilling next to the freezer. Oh, Judy. She's kind of debating about whether this is what Steve would want as his eternal resting place, which I don't know. I found really sad, but also this felt so classic Judy to me about how she's like, it's not what he would want. It's like, Judy, like, he gone. Like, I'm so sorry to say. What were your guys' thoughts on this scene?
Judy. I mean, I really do feel for her because she's truly grieving and she can't grieve properly. And so she just doesn't have the best timing and like the most logical way of making it discreet. Like, just don't chill next to a freezer. That looks very odd. But at the same time, as terrible as Steve was to her, I think he was worse than good. Like the ratio was way off. She genuinely did love him. And so I think like I really do empathize with her. And Jen just really didn't like him. So it's hard to watch.
Yeah, totally. I thought that it was like the motion lights I thought were funny. I feel like there is some element of like hinting at like not supernatural, but I feel like there is a lot of like spiritual things and symbols like hidden throughout the show, which I find really interesting. With obviously the bird we've talked about, the dog we sort of talked about, the lights in the freezer sounds in this episode I think tie into it, which I think is really interesting. We do find out that the sound is likely just rats though, with their razor sharp teeth. What did you guys expect it would be rats, or did you think it would be something else?
I thought he was alive. Oh, sorry.
Me too. No, me too, Cortez. I'm like, yeah, like I think by the end of the 4th episode, I was like, okay, Steve is dead. But I was really on board with, I'm like, I think he's still alive somehow, or some weird-ish is going on. But I guess she opened the freezer, so like, and they did the body, they got rid of the body. So I'm like, I guess he's really dead. But at first, I did not believe it. But I love the exterminator. I know it was just a very quick character appearance, but I thought he was so funny. My thing is like, Jen is losing her marbles. Like I would never call for an exterminator if I had a dead body. And I was like, girl, look it up. You're up here Googling how to get rid of dead bodies. Google how to exterminate some mice yourself. Like I could not believe she did that. And I also loved when he came and he was like, oh yeah, something about the mice. And then Jen was like, oh, we saw them. And Judy was like, oh yeah, we met them. I was like, this is just, their characters are so dynamic and different and good. Like I just love those little touches that the writers throw in there. It's so good.
Yeah, I totally. Whenever they're in a scene together talking over each other, I always have subtitles on just because I'm not a good hearer. Like I can't hear very well. And so you even see it even more like how different their lines are when they're talking at the same time, which is so funny. Another instance where we kind of see that is when they are trying to figure out, okay, well, if we moved it from the freezer, like what would we do with it? And Judy's like, I want it to be out at sea. And Jen's like, well, I think maybe just like a suitcase will do, which I thought was hilarious as well. We also have this kind of, go ahead.
Can like a man of his size even fit in a suitcase? Are there any suitcases that are actually that big? Like suitcases aren't that big for a body.
I think his bones would be cracking.
Well, I mean, he's limp, it's like he's dead. So I don't do this for a living, so I don't know. But I'm pretty sure they have a suitcase you can just kind of stuff them into. There's some pretty big suitcases.
I was just curious.
It'll be folded up. I don't know.
Like them. We have to like them.
I would Google the same thing on my computer, but I don't want them thinking that I'm trying to kill their body because Google, be listening. Siri, listen.
So you start getting ads for shovels.
Yes!
Exactly. I don't want to.
Guys, Alexa knows all, okay? Like,
truly.
You don't have one. She can hear you. Someone, somewhere.
Next door.
Always.
They're listening, you guys. But I also did really like the kind of affecting moment at the end of that where Judy feels really guilty and Jen has to tell her, it's not your fault, which I'm just so anxious to see kind of when the truth comes out about what happened that night, because it's still not, we're getting bits and pieces, but it's still not 100% clear of like what exactly happened that night. So I'm anxious to see sort of what happens then. But one thing is for sure, Jen is so disturbed by this. She's trying to do her work. She's trying to, play the heavy metal music to distract herself, and it's just nothing is quite working. And then, like someone mentioned earlier, our girl Shandy's back, and she causes all kinds of
Shandy.
Shandy. I was personally so excited to see her back because she's so creepy and hilarious. What were your guys' thoughts on seeing her again?
Wherever Shandy goes, chaos follows. How about that? That little girl she's not right in the head. But I was almost like, is Shandy gonna recognize that something's off with Jen? Of all people, she would know if Jen's killed someone, because that little girl is very in touch with demonic, weird, dark things.
Yes, she's very dark. She is. And I think with her character, I'll be excited to see her back as well. But she's just so grown. She said, how do you know that? Like, and I mean, obviously the reason that they take the body where they took it is because of her. Like, she was actually the one that suggested it. So I'm like, it's weird. Yeah, this happens later in this episode, but that's where she got the idea from. So Judi, she's like, I think she's just too smart. She's a child, so children shouldn't think that way. But she's actually way ahead of her time. I think
that is very true.
Oh, sorry, you go.
No, go.
I was gonna say I have a lot more to say about her later on about what happens, but
Good.
I would say my question in this first introduction to Shandy being back on the show again, I had more questions about Jen and like literally where her mind is at. Like, first of all, why would you search this on your computer? And like also it started making, I wanted to Google things myself because I was like, when you delete your browser history, does it delete forever? Because the FBI is gonna, when they stop looking for Steve, they're gonna start looking for you, and they're gonna see what you're looking for. And then also, why would you go into the freezer, like when she like goes back and looks in the freezer, and then like Henry and Shandy walk in? Why would you look in the freezer when first of all, your kids are in the house? One, two, you have your kid has a freaky friend over who literally just caught you looking at how to bury a body. Like, I'm literally like, Jen, you are better than this. You are better than this. But also, all the circumstances are just crazy. So
crazy. Yeah, you guys, you're saying Shandy's mature. I'm saying maybe Shandy's got some sociopathic genes in her. Like,
yes,
something so off.
I think Henry is the mature one. Like, he was so cute when he was like, when his mom like got upset and was just like cussing. He was like, "Let's go play." He was like, "I think our neighbor's out of Hebrew class." I was like, he's so sweet.
He is very sweet.
I think precious. She scared him though, and I'm actually really worried about kind of the trust there, because I think that I mean, we're all like, oh yeah, Charlie's getting suspicious, but I think that maybe Henry is like trying to put pieces together too. I don't know. I'm worried because I think that her sort of freaking out on him like might lead somewhere. Personally,
I will say the way she reacted wasn't appropriate, but I understand why, because kids are annoying when, first of all, she got caught, and that is terrifying. She has to cover it up really quickly. And then they're like approaching her closer and closer, and they keep asking these questions. What are you doing?
They're just like,
shut up! Like, shut up! Like, I hate, like, kids are, they're beautiful, great blessings, yay, but they ask a lot of questions, and it gets really annoying.
Yeah,
it probably didn't help that Shandy was there too. It would have been okay, maybe him just being there, but Shandy was there, and she's already creepy, so it's just like, okay, no. And so I love Jen's character a lot because she uses the F-bomb a lot, and she just freaks out so fast. Like you said, her character compared to Judy's, they're like completely opposite. But I think they're both in a very unstable mindset right now. It's just they handle the things differently.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. We do finally kind of see Jen start to take charge though, because she's like, okay, I really can't have this body in this freezer anymore. This is kind of the last straw. Henry walking in. So she goes to the hardware store and she talks to the associate about how to dissolve things in her pipes and buys lots of it. I thought it was so funny, her like waddling out with like this huge basket of stuff. So she decides to try it on the rat first, which was extremely disturbing to me. And of course, Judy went in and assumes the worst. What did you think about that? Were you surprised that Judy reacted so strongly, or were you like, oh yeah, this is a very Judy thing to get pretty upset about?
Well, first of all, I would never do that in my bathtub. Like, while you're out buying those things, you know, buy a tub, girl. Like, get something to dissolve this rat in. Because I was like, that is a nice bathroom. You cannot do this, okay? Right? It was so regal. But then they were screaming, and I was like, okay, you guys really want these kids to hear. Like,
yes.
And then I started thinking, why is Shandy still over? It's nighttime, the power is off. Like, it's dark. I was looking out the windows. I was like, it's dark out. Like, why has she been here for 12 hours?
Her mother doesn't want her with her because she's creepy. She's like, get out, go somewhere else.
So true.
She needs friends. But I don't know. Have we? But I can't recall seeing Shandy in. I can't think of his son's name. What's his name? Henry. Like, have we really seen them play? We saw the little view of them like running through, like way away, like way in the view. But I want to know, like, what is their interaction like? 'Cause especially in this moment, because the darkness, like it goes after this situation. It goes dark, so we see them, but then it's like, what are they doing? I would be weird. I'm like, Henry, where are you?
Yeah, definitely have a chaperone for those play dates. I don't know that I would. I agree with you. I don't know that I'd trust Henry with Shandy alone. Seems a little suspect. But yeah, like you said, it starts to go dark. And obviously, it's the hottest day of the year, they said, which is obviously not a great combination for a dead body that is easily decomposing. And, you know, there's scents and things that come out of that when it gets too hot. So they decide, okay, we got to get rid of this thing. We got to get rid of it fast. So they do decide to go to the Angeles forest. Thank you so much, Shandy, for the recommendation about how there are so many bodies there. We will get to more of that in the next episode, but I do also want to mention quickly about Judy and Michelle's relationship, because they're starting to get a lot closer in this episode too. Flo is obviously not happy. I freaking love Flo so much. I think she's like, besides Abe, she's one of the best residents there for sure. But what did you guys think about Michelle and Judy, you know, kind of having that conversation about being happy after someone you love passes away?
I thought it was a really beautiful speech. I was like, in the Titanic talk, I was like, this is so cute. Okay, I'm gonna go on a limb here, but I'm like, okay, this might be really weird, but is there sexual chemistry between them? Because I literally was like, I'm sensing something and I like it. But I was like, I don't know if I'm just projecting, I don't know, but I stan. I absolutely stan. And I also feel like, I'm like, maybe will Michelle and Judy become really close, and then it will like cause a rift in the friendship between Jen and like, will they, I don't know if they'll just become, I don't know what they'll become, but like, I'm just like, I could see Jen being like, you're spending a lot of time with her. I don't know. So we'll see. But I remember last episode, I was like, she's familiar. And I looked it up, and she's from Parks and Rec. She played Lucy. And then she was on the NBC, I think they only had one season, but Abby's.
Yeah.
So I looked her up too.
Yeah, right? She has a familiar face. So
I was going to say, she's a very familiar face. Like, I feel like I've seen her in other things as well, besides those two.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Mia, I'm so happy you said you thought you sense sexual energy. I'm like, maybe I'm just reading way too much into this, but they had a moment, and it wasn't just like a platonic moment. It was, there was something else there, but I'm here for it, because I think Judy just really needs a great, solid, good romantic relationship. She tried it with Nick. Didn't work. We all know Steve was a piece of trash. And Michelle actually seems like a good human. So if it happens, I'm here for it.
Yeah, very. And she really likes her. Like from the moment she dropped her, I'm so bad with names today. Dropped her mom off in the home. Yes, Flo in the home. Like, she just kind of gravitated to her. And so, like, just seeing them now, like, they're in the car, you know, living this California life, smoking a little pot. And it's very organic. It's just a nice feeling for Judy to have that, especially dealing with all these other skeletons over here, you know, in the closet. So I'm, like you said, I wasn't thinking that, but now that you mentioned, I'm like, you know what? She may be onto something.
Into it.
Yeah,
I know.
I definitely sense that as well. I feel like that could definitely, you know, turn into something romantic, just because you're right, they have that sexual chemistry, and they just are so cute together. Like, I just really, really like the two of them interacting. I think there's a really good balance. I mean, they're not as opposites as like Jen and Judy, but I think that it's a really good person for Judy to have sort of in her corner right now. But yeah, we mentioned earlier that they went to the Angeles forest, which I guess I didn't realize that was really so far away, but it was far enough away that they need, I was like, I don't really know where that is in comparison to them, but they decide that they need to go to a hotel. But before that, when they're driving, we get this really funny scene I thought was really funny, where Jen thinks that she left her phone inside the hole, and she's freaking out, because I related to that so hard. Like, there's so many times where, like, oh my god, like, I left this there, like, this is the worst thing ever, and it's just like in my purse, like in a pocket that I don't use.
Or have you ever lost your phone, or you think you lost your phone, and it's like sitting right in front of you, and you're just like, where's my phone?
In your
Where's
hand.
the phone? It's like
in your hand.
Yep, constantly.
all the time. If I didn't have my watch to like buzz it nowadays, I don't know what I would do because it's always missing.
I thought that was so great though. And the show's so good at like fake outs, like thinking it's gonna like be this horrible thing that goes one way and then it's like not really that bad. But we have the cop giving her the ticket because she had her phone in her hand, which was just so funny. And then we also have them going to the diner. And this was one of the conversations we saw in the promo. I don't know if you guys like watched the promo like 8 million times like I did, where they talk about Scarface and that, but that was such a fun, great conversation. And we have the cherry pie come back, which I thought was really cute too. The
waitress was so over it. The waitress was
like,
like,
yeah.
Did not like her.
She was not here for it.
Can we say though, that cherry pie looked really nasty. I was just like,
a diner in the middle of nowhere. I don't know. You're right about that.
Cream either. No whipped cream. She did it on purpose.
No ice cream either. Sad.
No ice
cream. Sad.
Absolutely nothing to make that any more tolerable. But after that, they decide, okay, we need a shower break. Let's stop at this hotel. The only the suite they can get is obviously the presidential suite, 2-night minimum stay. Hilarious. Loved the scene of the concierge, for about 30 minutes typing on the computer to see if they had anything. But we have a little bit of a bomb dropped on us here because we find out that Karen's husband Jeff is there with a different lover. Were you guys surprised by this? I was like, what is happening?
I mean, he's been away for a long time, and she's obviously like he's every time she comes over with a bottle of wine or whatever she comes over with, he's always away. So I wasn't shocked. I was more shocked that it was with a man, but I was like, okay.
All right, Jeff.
I was like, all right, this is interesting.
I wasn't surprised because when I saw him, I was like, oh gosh, this is gonna make, if they do point the crime to Jen, he's gonna be a clear witness. I was like, oh goodness, this isn't good. But then I was like, no, something's gonna happen where they're both gonna be equal. And I had a feeling, I'm like, he's having an affair, because why would he be out there? He's not there for the wedding, so it has to be an affair. That's the only explanation.
That wedding. Yeah.
I'm very nervous. I feel like this can't turn out well for any party involved. But we do get this scene. I mean, we obviously see Judy emotional a lot, but I feel like this is like the most upset that we've ever seen her in a way. Like she is just not really responding to anything that Jen is saying. She obviously looks and feels pretty depressed, I think. I really like the conversation about how Jen is like trying to cheer her up because it's such a role reversal for them. And she's like, listen, I'm the one that sucks and you're the nice one. Like, help me be nice to you. What did you think about Jen kind of trying to cheer her up in that hotel room? Thoughts? We have to really talk.
I mean, I think what I like about sorry, there's like a car going by.
Oh, you're good.
What I like about their relationship, I think Judy softens up Jen and she makes her just much warmer than she naturally would be. But I think we know that she clearly killed him, and I don't think he deserved to be killed the way she did kill him. So she clearly feels guilty. But I don't know. I think it's nice to see her be like warm and nice and kind, and it's not always Judy doing the consoling for Jen. Like Jen is actually providing the comfort to Judy this time.
Yeah.
I go ahead. No, I said I agree. I think that Judy is Jen's new child in a sense because how she's handled everything. She really needs that consoling, and like you said, however she killed him, she knows she feels guilty for that, and it's like she has to go the extra mile to try to keep her sane for many reasons, not just because they're in this together, but Judy has clearly shown that she could possibly break, and ruin this whole thing for everybody. So it's kind of like a moment. I think she also was feeling, sad for her, like, okay, like you're actually a very nice person, because we have seen Jen be very snappy, even on Judy many times in the previous season and before now. So it's about time that Jen is kind of like softening up a little bit. We need that from her. And this moment's like, we just buried this man's body in Los Angeles forest. Like, why why could I really be upset? I killed him. You know?
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's a really great point about how not only does she feel bad, like she needs Judy to keep it together
She
for
needs to
everyone.
keep it together.
Single thing
Yes.
too. I thought it was really sweet that Judy or Jen decides to like let her have like a toast. They decide to go to the bar. I thought her waking her up by like clearing her throat was so funny too. But they go down there and Judy does sort of open up about why she did love Steve, and she says that he was a lot more thoughtful and sweet and had this soft side that no one else really got to see. And I think what really clicks for Jen is when she mentions that the night after that they did hit Ted, like she found him on the beach crying, which I was personally surprised by because we really didn't see that much of a soft side, like very few times in flashbacks. But how'd you guys react when you heard that part of the story?
Well, I will say first of all, I love this scene. It just reminded me kind of like when they went to the retreat in season 1. So it was like season 1 vibes a little. But I mean, I love a good dance scene. I love that they were drinking Moscow mules. I love what Judy said about Steve and how he proposed with like a flash mob. I was like, what? This is so funny. But okay, I have to be honest. And like, you guys don't have to agree. You know, I love Judy. At this scene, I was like, I'm so over her whining. I was like, I'm tired of her. I know she's mourning. I was like, I feel like she's just been crying in every scene. But I will say, I think it was an important scene because like, I think it's mostly just because I hate Steve so much. So like, I'm with Jen, like when she kind of freaked out on her, I was like, why? Like he sucked. Like he left you with your 5 miscarriages. Like, why are you so upset? But I understand that like, just because someone does bad things doesn't mean like you stop loving them. So I'm not saying like she shouldn't be grieving, but like I personally was just like, come on, move the plot forward. Like we get it. But I did love hearing those stories, especially him sitting down at the beach, and that kind of like softened my heart a little, made me realize like he's human. Like Jen still killed him, which was bad. And even though he was a bad person, like, and he was saying awful things to her, like, I mean, she took his life. So it's like, this whole scene just made me realize how effing crazy all of this is. Like they're sitting in a bar crying as someone hits on them because they both killed each other's husbands. Like this show is insane. And then also the guy who came up at the end, I thought he sounded like Steve a little. So I like kind of was like, oh, and I like at that moment was writing notes. So I like didn't see the screen and I was like, Steve, I was like so scared. But yeah, this scene was like jam-packed with, I think, important things. So yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think it was almost, I feel like the whole scene, because after, you know, we have the sort of like emotional sort of release, we have them dancing together and, you know, crying and hugging, and Jen asked her to be her person, which was really sweet because Judy mentioned how like Steve was sort of her person and the first person who made her feel like truly loved. So I think it was great that we had that sort of emotional release, and then we had them like dancing together and like trying to have some fun. And I feel like I totally agree with you, Mia, that like, okay, she has hit sort of a block, Judy has, and I feel like this was sort of the push that she needed to be like, okay, like I'm gonna start taking a baby step towards sort of moving forward. Like I think it was the dam that finally broke, at least in my opinion. But
I agree, and I want to mention something from the last episode that we didn't mention. I think that when they were in a car, she was about to reveal that you know, whatever the truth was. And so obviously a lot of this is weighing heavy on her. And she's like, I really can't be that mean to this lady because I obviously killed him and he didn't deserve to die. At least what we've seen, you know? So that was very important. I think that kind of leads into this whole scene and why she's so, you know, comforting to her, which she really hasn't been in the past. You know, she's done.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, thank you for bringing that up because there's just so much to get through. I'm like,
it is a lot.
Yeah.
Have to fly through, but I also want to dissect all of it. It's like so much. But yes, thank you for bringing it up. That was very, very important, I think. We also have sort of at the end here more about these birds. Adele, our person Adele, so they say, is the one who killed Henry's bird. And so they have a funeral for it, which I loved how it sort of doubled as the sort of memorial that Judy wanted to give Steve. I thought that was super, super smart. What did you think of that whole thing? And also we kind of got a little flashback of Steve not being so great to Judy too, which I don't know what you guys thought that might mean.
We've seen a lot of him not being so great. You know,
Yeah.
and that's why it was surprised. Like that little one clip of the beach, him crying. That's one thing, but him not being great is like here. And then we know we did see him alive. So what we've seen is what we've seen. What do you think, Mo?
Yeah. I mean, I loved Christopher. Like, I started this scene laughing and I shouldn't have been. Like, not this situation clearly, but like Christopher's character is just such good comic relief.
Yeah.
And I love that it was like for this little bird and he's giving this full-on funeral speech, which I loved. And then I just like, I feel bad for Henry. I'm just like, poor Henry. This boy is going through so much and he's like the sweetest boy ever. And, you know, I love James Marsden. So those flashbacks of him shirtless, I was like, yes. But I was glad that it showed the good moments and then like reminded everybody at the end, like, this is like what he did. So I thought it was good that they threw that in there, and I like that scene a lot.
Yeah.
I agree. I think because a lot of times when people die, especially if somebody wasn't the best person, typically like when you memorialize people after they die, you look at the good things, and they could have been the worst person ever, but you're like, they were so amazing, did this, that, and the third. So I think seeing that flashback of Steve being an a-hole reminded us that, like, don't forget, like, yes, he died and it was unjust. He was still a terrible person, and he was so mean to this woman who was grieving him intensely.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I wonder if that's maybe the audience being like reminded of that, and also Judy being like, okay, like, don't forget, like, we're idealizing him. Yes, it's very sad, but he also sucked in a lot of ways. And she has to kind of remember that side of him too, unfortunately. We also find out later that it was not Adele at all that killed the bird. It was
Wild.
Personally, I'm surprised by this, but I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this as well.
Well, I have more on that for a special segment. I'll say my piece then. I'll say my piece then. But whew, gosh.
Her mom is just raising a monster. You know, her mom knows that, because she was just like, she really needs friends. Yes, she needs friends and maybe a little counseling, because there is something that's going on in that girl's mind. Because she obviously proved that she actually kind of meant to kill the bird, but you know, with not, I don't know. It's sorry, but she's so sweet, because she's like, that's my best friend. Like, she really loves Henry, so it's like, it's hard. She's really just a kid, but she killed her best friend's bird that he really loves. So it's like, it's just a mini version of what this whole thing is about. Which you have, you know, Judy and Jen, and how they're like the closest, and they've killed each other's husbands or boyfriends. And you know, she says one thing I like, what she was saying, that sometimes it's better to be a friend than get the truth. And it just kind of like pieces like everything together, at least what we've seen thus far. So I thought it was golden. Sorry, Shandy. Shandy's has been key, but she's just a kid, I guess, but she's just a weird one.
Weird.
A little threatening, if I do say so myself. But I thought that I totally agree with you in that this is just a miniature version of everything that's happening with Jen and Judy. We also get this montage-ish of Jen feeding the birds that I thought was really sweet, and sort of continued the themes of her like caring for the nest and putting it outside. We have Judy mailing the rock back to the forest, which again, love the continuity from season 1. And then we also have Henry finding the little wooden bird in the bush. I'm very scared. I figured maybe we can say that for predictions, but I just wanted to that's a thing that did indeed happen. We also have another sort of cliffhanger that has to do with Charlie. So he's been mentioning throughout all of these episodes that he needs a car, he wants to learn how to drive. And so he decides to take it upon himself, because Jen mentions that there's like a bike in the storage unit, his dad's old bike. But when he goes there, he sees a car. What are your guys' thoughts on that little reveal?
Gag.
He's so entitled. Like, I think that's like, he just gets, like, he's a teenager, but he's such an entitled teenager. I don't know what that car is gonna reveal. I'm sure it's more than it just being a car for him to ride. Like, it's gonna connect to some other twisted plot later on. But it's Steve. We're assuming it's Steve's car, right? I don't know whose car.
I think it is his car. Because I think like who there was no other car in the story, I don't believe.
Right. Again, like I remember Jen saw on the footage that
yeah.
So I'm guessing that it's Steve's car.
And
because they moved it. I was wondering, I get it. Oh my gosh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yikes.
But he thinks, see now, see, then I said gag.
Yeah.
But how did he get the keys to his storage unit? That's what I don't know.
When they killed him, they probably took his keys from his body or his pocket or whatever and then drove it to the storage unit. And they're hiding his car there so nobody, you know what I mean?
But how did Charlie know that? How did Charlie know where
it's Jen's storage unit.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Oh, that's the original storage that the stuff that the old car was in, I believe, right?
Yeah.
No, that was Judy's. That was Judy's storage unit.
I mean, Judy, sorry.
But this is probably, it could be Judy's too. Like they could have just put it in Judy's storage unit. Who knows? But it's all connecting now.
But he thinks that's his car. He was like, come on, Mom. Like, yeah. So this is like,
baby. I hope the keys aren't in there. Lord.
Oh, goodness. This is bad.
I'm scared. We are running lowish on time, so I don't want to miss out on our very favorite special segment. Mia, what do you have for us?
Okay, we will go through this quickly. I have more dead or tread because I do my little intro card every time. But okay, so I know it's so fun. Okay, tire screech insert here. So in this game / special segment, we'll name some scenarios from the show. And then we'll decide as the offenders, or if it was offended to us, that would that person be dead to us, or would we forgive them and just move forward with them and tread lightly? So the first scenario, since it's Mother's Day, is if you saw your mom looking at a dead body in her freezer, would she be dead to you? Would you be like, I don't want to, you kill someone, like you're part of my life? Or would you just be like, Mom, I got your back. Like you're bad, but what do we do?
Oh no, we're treading. I have my mom's back. I would help her hide a body any day.
Yeah.
She gave me life. Like that.
Exactly.
I'm treading.
Loyalty.
Now I'm going to be like Henry. I'm going to want to know, okay, what is going on here?
Right.
But I got you. Just like before.
Yeah, I would have questions, but I'd be like, yeah, no matter what, I got you. Like,
right.
I would be like, what did they do to you? I'd be like, Mom, you killed someone. They had to do something bad.
Exactly.
All right, so the second question is, if your child's friend, aka Shandy, or someone like her, killed your child's, or did I say that right? If your child's friend killed your child's pet on accident, on purpose, we don't know, maybe one of the two, would you let them come back into your house? How do you feel?
Hell no.
No.
Dead. You're getting a whooping.
I'm sorry if it's your best friend. You got to find a new one. Listen, let's be real. 30 years from now, who knows if you'll still be friends? Like that's like what, like first grade?
That's not cool.
First grade or something.
And that person's a sociopath. I don't want my kids around somebody like that.
Yes.
Little sketch. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you, Mia. I love Dead or Tread. It's one of my favorite parts of every episode. Yes. We also have some more good stuff for you guys. Simone has some news for everyone. Yes.
Yes. So Christina Applegate and Linda Cardellini did an interview with Parade, and they're actually friends in real life. Funny enough, they're close offset as well. But Christina mentioned that she asked for her character Jen to have a double mastectomy because she actually had one in 2008, and she wanted to pull from that experience and for that to be in the story, but she didn't want it to be a thing, and Jen doesn't make it a thing. And so she likes that it's written that way, but also she said a lot of the pain that comes out through Jen is kind of connected to her mastectomy. So I thought that was really cool. I think it was great that they let her have that creative liberty to put that in there.
Absolutely. Wow. Thank you. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Very deep.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I know. And then Linda Cardellini had an interview with Glamour, and she just mentioned that she likes playing Judy, but she likes it because Judy's somebody who doesn't get mad at people. So in turn, she gets mad at herself, and she's always like super hard on herself, which is why we see like Judy, I think, self-sabotage because she doesn't actually like rightfully let people have it the way Jen does. So she said she enjoys playing a character like that.
That's awesome. I totally, see that. She internalizes a lot and she kind of puts all of it on her own shoulders, which is also not healthy. None of the ways that everyone deals with anything is healthy in this show, everyone.
Not at all. Therapy, guys. Therapy.
Therapy, okay? Okay, we are running really, really low on time, but I do want to get some super, super quick predictions in there. So Simone, what are you thinking? What are you nervous about? What are you hoping happens?
I definitely think that they're going to trace back Jen and Judy's trip to wherever that place was. The kids are smart. They're going to make connections. And Charlie is, if it's not Henry that figures it out first, Charlie is going to figure something going on.
I think those are very good predictions. What about you, Cortez?
The biggest thing for me the last episode was the car, and I really think that was his car, and I think that I'm just hoping that there's no way that Charlie gets access to that car, regardless of whoever car it is, because cars are like so important in this story. You know, cars. That's how this whole story started. So I'm like, please let it be someone else's car, and please let him not have access to it, because he's a very entitled child and very like into things, and I'm just worried for the whole story.
I totally agree. What about you, Mia?
So I feel like I have questions more than predictions this time, but okay. The freezer, like motion light scene, I don't know if that's just over with, but I wonder if like Karen was snooping or something. Like, I just don't know if that'll come back into play, probably not. And then also, I wonder if they'll start having flashbacks of like burying Steve now that we've kind of moved past like not the shooting, I guess, but the hitting. I don't know, who knows. And then the freezer, maybe we'll start having flashbacks of stuff that will reveal more and move the plot forward. And then I think we'll see maybe more of Ben, the nice twin, not evil twin. So
yeah, that's like a reversal, right? It's usually like the evil twin is like the trope, but now we have this like super sweet twin, which is hilarious. I totally agree with all of those predictions. I think someone mentioned Karen, and I think that maybe she's gonna get suspicious of Jeff and maybe start tracing things back to that hotel. And obviously we had a lot of things come out at that bar, and we have that wedding guy who was so mean to them, making them pay $83. So I think that maybe that hotel and Karen will mesh and maybe not.
But you guys, I am so excited to discuss this a little bit later. I think we're doing 2 more episodes at 8 p.m.
8. Yep. 8. Yep.
Where can everyone find you guys on social media?
You guys can find me at Simone A. Thomas on Instagram and Twitter.
You can find me on Instagram at stupidwildtez.
I love that. You can find me on Twitter at hotmessmia and on Instagram at yours truly, Mia.
Awesome. And you guys can find me on Twitter at alphaba_Ann and on Instagram at Taylor_Gates_. And we will see you guys for episodes 5 and 6 in just a little bit. Bye.
Bye.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.